Today we're headed to trim these 3 big bulls, and one of them has a problem which we're really hoping we can help. This is the Hoof GP and 3 beautiful bulls.
And I won't let it rush when I see you dance, and the moment comes when I fall and time goes slow. I fall into you.
So yes, you are joining us on our way to one of our very favourite farms, a farm called Rainton, who used to produce my very favourite ice cream, Cream of Galloway ice cream, although sadly no longer. But anyway, we still need to do a very important job there. They have 2 big bulls that have slight problems and need to be ready for the breeding season ahead. They do all of their own trimming, but these bulls are too big to fit in their crush. So they've called in the big guns. This farm is nestled in beautiful green rolling countryside. Here we don't have flat fields. The land is gnarly, but all it does is add to its beauty. That is how you do that. So we won that recent British Farming Awards thing for the content creator of the year. What were you up for?
David was up for Regenerative Farmer.
We were up
for Regenerative Farmer of the Year.
Alright, and you didn't win.
We didn't win.
Oh.
But we had a great night, had some real good fun. Met the guys from CF Moto, had a real good laugh and a beautiful meal. So it was, it's good.
Spot on.
I couldn't buy you a pint, but never mind.
You actually good.
It's getting there.
It's like really good. Alright, let's trim some bills. I have a race here that the bills will fit down comfortably, so we've sort of got to DIY. And where would we be without baler twine? Nowhere. That's where. Might as well tie both ends. Are any of them lame?
No. Ted, who's the red one, is always a little bit light on his front left.
Right.
He had foul on his front right, which seems fine. And then the few issues while he's pulling in the summer with his front left and his front left.
Okay.
Other than that, boys have never been touched. Never been tripped before.
Sweet. And they're just going to walk in.
Of course.
As always. We have failed to get bills in on occasion here before, but we always come back. Hopefully that won't be the case today though. Right, just need to plug it in and we're good to go. Okay, the crush runs off batteries, so although it's running right now, it would pretty soon run out of battery charge, so we keep it plugged in and that trickle charges it as we trim, so it never actually runs out. Because those heads, or necks rather, are so much wider, we need to widen our head gate for them, otherwise they press against them. It can really hurt them. And all we need to do is pull this pin, slam it to the outside, pull the other pin, slam that to the outside, and we're done.
No, you're not. You didn't put that pin in the right place.
We're done. Catch down. So we need to be really quiet. And we're really, really timid, but I need to be close to the crush to catch their heads. So I'm trying to do both, which is impossible sometimes. This bull's vasectomized, so in other words, it's just used to determine which cows are in heat, is that right?
And stir things up because they've got calves at foot, they've got a show gestational and estrus.
Wait, whoa. Jess, what? Because so I thought all this bull would do would be sniff out the cows that are in heat, but Charles is saying that they sort of do something else as well.
Yeah, so because they've got the calves with them, they show gestational and estrus.
You've practiced that.
Oh yeah. And so they can throw the cycle out by anything up to 40 days or something. We want them into a 9-week calving block, so unless I use him to tease them, and then they'll show their normal cycle. Right. And I can keep them, I can watch them and see the pattern of their cycle. and then I know when to serve them.
So because he's around, he brings them into heat, or just makes it more.
It's just the testosterone. They just need a man in the house, and I'm obviously not enough. So we've got everything.
We're on the same page there. Right. So I've heard Charles call them a teaser bull before, and I wasn't really sure what you meant. Well, I just assumed you meant he would be picking up the cow's heat. I didn't realise he was actually teasing the cows, sort of thing. So it's like me when I walk into a bar.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Learn something new every day. Right, Craig, bend over. Oh, look. The ethical dairyman. Is that right?
The ethical herdsman.
Ethical herdsman. So you can follow Charles on Facebook?
Yeah.
On Facebook by going to the Ethical Herdsman. So that's Ethical Herdsman. And you'll see all about this farm. So they've actually just created a movie, or picture, or film, or whatever you want to call it, called A Dairy
Story.
Called A Dairy Story. And they've won at least one award? A couple?
Two awards, one at the Cork Film Festival and one at Stirling at the weekend.
Brilliant.
From the Audience Award. So yeah, really good.
Brilliant. I haven't seen it yet, so I can't tell you if it's any good, but he says it is really good, and I do trust his opinion. So yes, A Dairy Story coming to a cinema near you soon. Possibly, probably, maybe. Right, we're gonna lift all 4 feet because it's standing nicely, so we might as well get them up in the air, and that way it'll be quicker for him. And I'm going to trim his front feet first, just to get them back down on the floor. So as I use the grinder here, you can tell there really isn't much material that needs to be removed, but we do need to make sure they're perfectly balanced before starting to trim them with the knife, like this. That's not bruising either, folks, it's just pigmentation. His feet are entirely black, or slightly bluish actually, and this here is not a problem either, it's just where his hoof horn is naturally shedding away. I'm a little out of breath because I'm trying to do it quite quickly. Does not need much at all. It's on concrete just now as well, so I definitely don't want to make sure, I definitely want to make sure his feet aren't too thin. I do want to investigate that tiny little crack that has now disappeared. Lovely. And straight on to the next one, but I forgot the grinder. Lovely. And again, this foot is very similar to his front left. It only needs a very small amount of material removed before we can start with the knife. Just like that. It's rewarding doing cow's feet, or bull's feet in this case at this stage, because you really do stop lameness before it's ever really an issue. Beautiful. Now we did notice that there's a little bit more overgrowth on these back feet. Oh, he's got really tight. He's got really tight ligaments. See the overgrowth there, about a centimetre. So we'll just concentrate on this outer claw. We don't want to remove anything from the inner claw, because if we do, it means we need to take even more away from that outer claw. Once we've got the height right, we move on to the tip of his toes and reduce that by the centimetre that is overgrown. And then get on with the modelling out. See, I have touched it actually, I didn't mean to touch that though. That's why sometimes we use a nozzle to separate the feet, to ensure that we don't touch that other claw inadvertently. I said inadvertently in my head there, I just did it properly as well. I thought, I'll trip over that word, but I'll say it anyway. I managed to get it out properly. Inadvertently. These knives are not very sharp because we've already trimmed a bunch of cows at the last farm. I don't even need to model much out of that, it's actually lovely. And again, the overgrowth is almost identical. So I said almost identical, but actually this one's not quite as overgrown, so we don't take as much material away from that outer claw. We do shorten the tip of the toe, and I'm struggling to get that little hook out, so we drop the paddle out of the way and trim that little hook back from the inside of his wall. And then get rid of this big lumpy bit. And again, his feet are all black, pigmented. This little bit of overgrowth doesn't seem like much, but it's what it can lead to that matters. A little bit of overgrowth becomes a lot of overgrowth, and a lot of overgrowth is a real problem. Right. We need them to turn left out of the thing, so I need to be quick. And back to the pen he goes. Right, next bull. Hopefully. They're so gentle with the cattle here. But sometimes it can actually be problematic because the cattle know there's no fear, there's nothing to fear. And believe it or not, that can actually make it harder to work with because they're not scared of you and they don't really want to get away from you because they know you're not going to do anything wrong. And it's the same story again, all 4 feet in the air. And actually the more restrained they are, the quieter they behave. Right. Oh, it's got a big hole. That's quite strange. Again, I think that's just natural shedding though. I don't anticipate that being a problem. But I have been wrong in the past. Despite that hole being in that outer claw, his foot really isn't overgrown, so we need to be very careful with how much we take off. The knife is going to be our real ally in this trim. Although it's not a problem, I am going to investigate it just a little bit in a second. Oh, these knives are better than the back ones, aren't they? Much sharper and therefore much smoother cuts. Please stop. Right. So as we model this out, we're just going to take it a little bit wider than usual, just to incorporate that hole and make sure that it is nothing untoward. We wouldn't dig a hole just for the sake of digging it. We're not going to carve away loads of his heel, but we do need to make sure that it's nothing untoward, which it isn't. Lovely. He's slumping forward a little bit, so I'm very keen for him not to slump right forward and be uncomfortable. Look at that, it's exactly the same hole again. And again, I'm pretty sure the hole doesn't have or pose any problems. I actually take slightly more height off both of these claws before I can grab the knife. Again, we're just going to do exactly the same thing. So the hole itself isn't a problem, but if it got a stone in it or something like that, then it would cause a problem. And that's why I don't want to leave just that hole sitting there. So we'll get rid of it completely and then model out this knife, model out this claw. Chef's kiss. Ah, tastes like back feet. Even less overgrowth on these ones than the last one. Although I said there wasn't much overgrowth, that outer claw has a high heel and we need to get rid of that extra height before it causes an issue. No signs of an issue whatsoever, just like that knife is horrible. This one any better? A little bit. As soon as you hit a stone or a bit of grit or anything, these knives just blunt right up. We do have 8 of them on the crush, so we do always have really sharp knives available, but for this job this one's fine. Alright. Again, there's excess height on this heel, and that is definitely a problem.
When you weigh around 2,000 pounds or almost a ton, any deviation in height between the two claws is going to cause you a problem. So it doesn't look like there's much of an issue with these bulls' feet, but believe you me, it's incredibly important that we correct them right now.
Cool, we've got it in time. No bruising, no problem, no issue. We do want to make sure that model is nice and wide though, so it lasts them for quite a while. It's like your instep on your trainers or your sneakers or your shoes. I'm taking a bit more out there. I don't like that hook either. Lovely. Another happy customer.
Whenever a bull goes down on his knees like this in the crush, you worry there's an issue. But luckily, not on this occasion.
I thought he was going to be the most problematic one, but actually, hopefully not. I thought he was going to be way worse than that. So Charles was just telling me that this bull actually had foul in the foot, which is a really nasty infection on his front left foot. It has healed up, but it's definitely left some lasting ramifications. Ramifications, there's a word. He's slumping down a little bit more, so I'm not actually going to lift all 4 feet at once. I'm just going to trim his back feet first. Leave them in the air, or leave one in the air, and then trim his front. We need to do very, very little with the grinder to this foot. It's almost perfect as it is, and I do not want to spoil that. It does have a little bit there though that I'm not overly keen about. Just that tiny little crack. It's going to come to nothing, I think, but Yep, lovely. Itchy nose. And again, look at that foot. I mean, yes, it doesn't look beautiful because it's dirty and it's undulating, but functionally, it's fantastic. So again, we really don't need to do very much. I just need to make sure that they are as balanced as possible. That's the whole point in being here. Routinely trimming these bulls to keep them as healthy as possible. And again, he's just got that little crack there that I don't want to turn into anything bad. But I'm not going to touch anything else here. I'm not going to model them out because they are beautiful. Right. Hopefully the same is true of his front feet. I'm going to drop that down so that hopefully he doesn't slump too much. You can see there's a really big wide part to his interdigital area. So if you come in here, Craig, we can see there's a big gap in here, and that's where he's had foul in the foot because he's got this growth. That's called a tyloma or a hyperplasia, which basically means hyper growth. So he'll always have slight problems, but that's something that we can sort of deal with a little bit by shrinking up using iodine. But actually, I'm pretty worried about that inside claw. Is he lame? No. Right. There's clearly something going on with his toe. So the toe area on that inside claw has clearly got some issues. I start out by balancing the rest of his 2 digits. And once that's done, I do move on to the toe portion. And you can hear the vibrations. That's because it's not fully connected and it's resonating off the grinder blade, letting me know that it cracks up the front as well. So Charles says this bull isn't lame. That doesn't mean that he can't feel it. All it means is that the pain is manageable for him because he's hiding it from them, because that's what prey animals do. They don't want to become literal prey. You can see that crack goes right up the inside wall. Trim off the toe area as well, because this cracking, if it goes right up that wall, it'll just keep going and you'll end up with toe necrosis. Just lift that flap up, move it forward out of the way, and then take this part off.
The worry when you treat any problem like this is that you do end up making the animal lame. I've just told you that Charles told me this bull is not showing signs of lameness, so me playing around and fiddling in there may cause a flare-up, and that is the absolute last thing I want. But let me absolutely assure you, this can and does happen from time to time, and I'm hoping that this is not one of those occasions. All I want to do is make sure that he never goes lame again.
Just need to get every bit of this, because if it just keeps cracking, his bone will become infected, and that is the absolute last thing that we want.
The blackened area towards the middle of his foot is the area I'm most concerned with, and it's also the area that is the hardest to trim.
We are so... I was going to say we're close to the corium. We are trimming exactly where the corium should be right now, but because of this problem, it's no longer there, so I don't know how deep in it is or isn't. I need to trim this axial wall. I think it does go up there. Oh yes, we found the top of that crack, which is exactly what we want to do. You can't stop a crack by trimming it halfway up. You need to find the very beginning of the crack. Otherwise, you've done nothing at all apart from a cosmetic trim. Use the hook and the knife there. It's really awkward for me to trim this way, but we are getting there, so that's all that matters. Very, very conscious of how thin that hoof horn is at his toe, and if I pull too hard and the knife goes round, I'll slice into it. Oh. That little bit right there. Right, this is looking really good. Right, what we're going to do is we're going to put a block on that outer claw, because the inner claw, although it's not open and raw, and Charles isn't saying it's showing signs of pain, it definitely could turn into something potentially really sore.
The red part we can all see peeking through on the tip of his toe is bruising. It is not the other stuff. It is bruising that is right on the edge of being an open lesion, and that's why I'm so keen to get a block onto this outer claw.
It's got a little bit of bruising on the inside there on his axial wall. So I'm actually going to try and avoid that area. Make sure that the block's situated towards the outside of his foot, over the white line, because that's the area that's going to take all of the pressure anyway. So if we can avoid that area that's bruised, we can avoid another problem. You see, so none of that is being touched, and all of the weight will be around the outside. Oh, sorry mate. That growth obviously hurts. Just model it out just that little bit more, just to give that growth a bit more space. And then we're going to douse the whole thing in iodine in an effort to shrink it up and make sure the end of his toe stays as it is. Well, first we'll show Charles. It seems to be really hurting him. Really soak it in iodine as much as I can. I'm actually going to lift all 4 feet because I want that block to have just a little bit more time to cure, but I don't want it in for that much longer. This is the foot that he had foul on. Just a little bit open. This foot needs very little work with the grinder at all. You can see how careful I'm being not to remove any hoof horn by accident. These feet are the perfect size, and going too hard with the grinder will cause a problem. Because of that growth that's up into his feet, we're going to widen up this interdigital area as much as we can. We want air to get in there, and we want manure to stay out of there. But we don't want to overdo this model. This is the deepest part of the hoof here, by the way, which is why we're able to model it out so much. But it's not limitless, so we definitely can go too far. A little high bit there actually. Peel away this part of his hoof now. This bit here is rather bulbous. It's quite soft actually, so I'm not going to be able to take much away from that. But we will clean it out. That is a big tyloma. It's like a big finger sticking down. Ah, you're okay, mate. Ouch. Because it's burst open, there's a risk of bacteria getting in. This iodine should really minimise that risk. There we go. 3 big bulls, 3 fantastically behaved big guys.
I told you to use the dirty grinder we used from the other farm, not the one I cleaned. No, I've still never got 2 grinders to clean. Thanks, man.
Sorry.
Thanks, man.
I'm sorry. Oh well, at least we've got 3 happy customers. Craig, not so much. Thank you for watching this episode of the Hoof GP. If you made it all the way to the end, thank you very much. See you later, folks. Bye-bye. Look, we're getting a preview. This is the trailer for his film.
People coming to the farm with no idea about farming. They would be aghast.